Most people want more positive and productive relationships in the workplace. After all, they realize that will help them become more efficient, more effective, and ultimately more successful. Most will agree it's in fact not just what you know, it's who you know, but also it's how well you work together. So how can you create more productive relationships in your workplace? The first thing is to realize that effective relationships must be mutually beneficial. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a boss and an employee, a vendor and a client, an investor and a CEO. Both sides of the equation must feel appreciated and like they're getting something out of the deal. Oftentimes, we'll take people for granted when in fact that can create problems. So make sure your relationships aren't slanted heavily with one person getting a lot more out of it than the other. Also, like any relationship, friendships, romantic relationships, business relationships take proactive maintenance. You must make sure that the lines of communication are open, that you're spending the time to maintain your connection. You can't just take it for granted, put it on the shelf, because if then there's a challenge or a problem or an opportunity, you won't have that foundation to rely upon. So make it a priority to maintain those business relationships that keep you successful. Business relationships must be cordial, but they do not have to be friendly. A lot of people, especially women, struggle with what is a very fine line between professional and personal. Now, I will admit that many of my best friends were originally met through work. The important thing is for you to prioritize your professional relationship. No matter what happens with your friendship or your romance with a coworker or a colleague, you need to make sure that you can continue to be a productive work relationship. That must be your priority. And as long as you do that, that ever fuzzy line between personal and professional becomes a little bit more clear. You must be sensitive about relationships with people from different cultures, different generations, and different genders. I believe we will all agree that a 64-year-old works pretty differently than a 24-year-old, and nobody will argue that men and women work differently. Likewise, someone from a different culture may have an entirely different way of working, of negotiating a deal, of figuring out prices. It's your responsibility to adapt your behavior, your style, to work with the people that are critical to your business success. It's going to require flexibility, but if these relationships are important, it's worth it in the long run. So assess how you're handling working with different people.